Coming up on The Returned, why do you think we are actually here on this earth?
So we come here in forgetfulness, and then we slowly start to remember our divinity.
What happens when we transition from this life into the next?
The quickest way to experience and understand everything that I'm telling you is to leave your body.
You know, I've always wanted to ask you this. Hi, and welcome to The Returned. The truth always follows you back. Hi, and welcome to The Returned, a place where we share near-death stories, out-of-body experiences, spiritual awakenings, signs from spirit, and the journeys of healers and lightworkers from around the world. So today we sit with Andre, better known as the Alchemist369, an out-of-body experiencer, consciousness explorer, and creator whose work has inspired thousands to look beyond fear and ask deeper questions about life, death, consciousness, and who we truly are. Nearly 1 year ago, I was joined on The Returned by Andre, and for me was one of the first breakout conversations that we had on The Return. He helped introduce thousands of people to his journey and also to my channel. So since then, both our communities have grown. Andre has continued to share his insights into out-of-body experiences, the soul, dreams, consciousness, and the mysteries of human experience. Andre, welcome back to The Returned.
Thank you, MJ. Thank you for the warm
That was a
welcome.
mouthful. My goodness, that was a mouthful. What was I thinking, right?
No, thank you for the warm welcome for sure. And it's a pleasure to be here and joining you for your 1 year anniversary for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so
Congratulations
much.
to you.
Thank you. For those who may be meeting you for the first time, how would you feel about letting them know a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how this path found you?
Yeah, certainly.
Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
my name is Andre. I also go by the Alchemist369. And like MJ said, I'm an out-of-body experiencer, uh, traversing the realms, trying to understand creation, existence, and the purpose of this human experience. And I come back and share this truth with others. And I also help others experience this for themselves. A little bit about particularly what I do. Oftentimes, when people hear about out of body experiences, they don't know what to really make of them. They're like astral projection, dreams. Like, what are you really talking about? Well, the out of body experience that I speak of and the way that I do it, it's to the point where my physical body shut down to the point where my soul is able to leave it. And in doing so, I am able to access outside of this reality and the same aspect that a near-death experience does. It's really like a near-death experience, but controlled. You can say, like, I do this consciously. I shut my body down to the point my soul is able to leave it. And it's a little bit deeper than astral. You may not be fully aware. You may not be fully conscious. You may not be aware of the fact that you have a physical body. In a full-blown out-of-body experience, you will be physical. You will be in complete control. You are your ultimate authority, and you have access to that of which you seek. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I do. Is I do this consciously quite often, and I come back and I help others experience and understand that they exist beyond this physical life, that they exist beyond this physical reality, and that the other side is our home. It's where we come from before this experience, and this is also where we all return back to. So I help others understand this truth. Yeah.
Mm. Music to my ears. You know, Andre, there's one thing I've actually been noticing, noticed while I was preparing for today, and that your topics on your channel that you've been covering really actually resonate with what we talk here about on The Returned. So I noticed you're helping people navigate some of humanity's biggest questions. And some of those are why we're here, what happens when we die, why do we suffer, how much of our lives are chosen before birth, what lies beyond fear, what are out of body experiences really showing us. And ultimately, we're talking about who we really are. So I'd love to spend some time exploring some of those ideas with you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, certainly.
one of the things I want to start with is, why do you think we are actually here on this earth?
Yeah, yeah, certainly. And to touch on what you said, a lot of the things that I speak about are the greatest mysteries on of mankind. And, you know, forever it's been assumed that we don't know what happens when we die, that we don't know why we're here. But that's just not true because I know for 100% certain these things, and all of you guys can experience this for yourself. But to answer your question, why we are here, to fully understand this, we need context, right? To understand this human experience, we need to first go back to where we are before we come here. Before were ever a human, you existed in soul form on the other side, and your complete divinity and your true self. You see, because outside of these physical bodies have limitations, but your soul does not. If you guys can understand that, you, who you are outside of here, has no borders, boundaries, or limitations to you until you come into these physical bodies. And on the other side, you are truly in your divine nature. Now, if you were on the other side in your divinity 100% of the time, you need contrast to be able to truly understand and appreciate your divinity, right? If you were just imagine heaven, think of heaven in your mind, right? If you were just there all of the time, that would become your base reality. That would become your normal, right? And you wouldn't even be able to truly appreciate that. So the purpose of this particular human experience is to experience what it is like to have limitations, what it is like for us to not be a God in our divinity, right? So we come here in forgetfulness, and then we slowly start to remember our divinity, you see? And we come here to experience things like what it is like to forget that we are an almighty being. We come here to experience what it is like to have pain, what it is like to suffer, what it is like to get sick, what it is like to have the illusion of death, what it is like for us to birth another soul. Because none of these things exist outside of here. We are inside of a creation, one creation of many. And this particular creation was created for that, for us to experience what it is like to have limitations and for us to not have a God, so we can have that contrast. And once you leave this life, whether it's an out of body experience, whether it's a near death experience, or whether you actually transition in the form of the illusion of death, once you return back to the eternal aspect of yourself in whatever form, it will be the greatest contrast and the greatest experience that you will ever experience. And you will have such a deeper appreciation for your divinity. Think of it like this. In order to fully appreciate a sunny day, right? We first must be able, you first must have to experience what it is like to have a rainy day. And say, like, for instance, here in Bali, as you can see, it's raining. If you have 4 or 5 days of consecutive rain, by the time that sun comes out, you're going to be so much more appreciative of that sun. So it's the same aspect. To truly appreciate our divinity, we must first have to experience what it is like to not have our full divinity, to have limitations, to experience that of which we are not, essentially. So, yeah.
That makes sense to me, and it brings me to wonder, how much of our lives do you believe our souls choose, basically, and how much would be shaped by free will,
Okay.
in
This
your
is a
opinion?
this is a good question. So, and I know this may be hard for a lot of people to understand. Like, why would
Mhm.
I choose this suffering? Why would I choose
Mhm.
this? Okay. But for 100%, we do choose our events in our life, our major events, right? And you can think of this as like major events that you want to experience. Imagine a ruler, right? And on the 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, and 5 inch are the major events that you chose to experience. These could be meeting somebody. This could be a form of loss or anything of that nature, right? These are things that you chose. Now, in between that, you have free will to go and experience anything that you desire. However, when this point in time comes, imagine the ruler being a timeline. When it comes time for you to experience the 1 inch or the one lifetime marker, you will experience that. So no matter where you are, which path you took to get there, when it comes time for you to experience this, you will experience this, you know. So, and sometimes, and during this free will period, you can be so far off track from your original plan or your original goal that when it comes time for you to experience this, you will be smacked back down. Now, this can be representative of, something drastic happening, such as losing a job because you have to
Mm.
be somewhere, or even an accident, a near death experience. If you're really far off and you're supposed to wake up and remember in this life, that could come in the form of a
Mhm.
near death experience, even. Tons and tons of examples can be this. But so to answer your question, there are certain events that we set up for ourselves to experience. This is 100% to be true. And how do you know you're on track with your mission and your purpose? Well, this is when the universe will actually send signs to you. This is when you can see things like repetitive numbers and things like that. And
Mhm.
I experienced this myself, where I've actually, because I leave my body, the other side is not a mystery. Like, I know how things work. So actually, I found out that a lot of the numbers that I was seeing, I was actually sending to myself, you know.
Mhm.
And another form that you can experience to understand that you are in your path comes in the form of deja vu. Like when if you're in true alignment and you're seeking for signs and answers, deja vu can come up and appear, and it will be like, oh, I've experienced this before. Well, it's not so much that, it's that this was a pre-planned event and now you are remembering it. That's one aspect of deja vu that helps you know that you were on your path as well.
Interesting. So basically, we're leaving spiritual breadcrumbs for ourselves. And then if we're going on through our life and we're not picking up on the clues we're giving ourselves, sometimes bigger events happen, do you think?
Yes, yes, that is
Yeah.
that is essentially it. It can happen, and it's just because you're going to experience it. There are fixed time events that we plan out for ourselves. There's collective fixed time events, and then there's individual fixed time events that you plan out.
Mhm.
There's fixed time events that are going to happen inside of this creation regardless, right? And then there's also fixed time events that you plan for yourself. So when that time comes, you will experience that, you know, for sure.
I think about this and how many people might not be actually living their best, truest lives. And I think the barrier is fear. And I
Hmm.
know you talk about fear and you've spoken about fear being the barrier between humanity and what people are truly capable of becoming, right?
Hmm.
So if fear wasn't running the show, how different do you think the world or humanity would look?
Yeah. So this goes into a lot of the control structure here. Now, fear comes
Mm.
up in many ways. There are tons of fear based narratives. Religion is a form of one of these fear based narratives. If people often say, if you're a Christian, you're a God fearing man. Well, why are you fearing anything? This is 100% true. And I know this may sound far fetched for a lot of you guys, but I promise you, if you leave your body and go to the other side, you will experience this to be 100% true. You are your ultimate authority. You see, Nothing can hurt, harm, or touch you unless you believe it to be so. This is more true when you're on the other side in your soul, but this is also true here on this side of the veil. Our belief systems are constantly creating our reality. So if you're operating from a fear-based narrative of you need to act in alignment, this takes you away from your true ultimate authority and your creative nature. Right. So one example of this is if that fear-based narrative wasn't here and we were able to truly step into ourselves and our creative nature, we would have no limitations here on earth. You see, and our belief systems have been so the narrative here to make us
Yeah.
believe that we are not our divinity has been so strong, and the truth has been hijacked to the point where people limit
Yeah.
themselves. They don't understand that
Mhm.
they are truly the creators of their reality, that their thoughts are
Mhm.
creating their reality, that they all have the power within them to create heaven on earth here and now. You know, it's but fear is the number one way that will limit you. Yeah. And another aspect of this is when you're trying to experience the out of body experience, these fear-based narratives are the number one thing that will limit you, right? Because
Mhm.
oftentimes sleep paralysis is a gateway to the other side. And oftentimes in sleep paralysis, the narrative is, oh, it's a demon sitting on me, or you don't know what's going on, or you begin to see things, or images that movies put in your head is this is a dark thing, fear this.
Mhm.
That will limit you from accessing the other side and your true divinity. You see, because the quickest way to experience and understand everything that I'm telling you is to leave your body and experience the other side firsthand for yourself and your true divinity, right? And fear is the number one thing that will limit you from doing so. So once you're able to remove that fear, everything will open up to you, especially on the other side. Even if you do make it out of your body, but you're still operating in fear, things will not open up to you. You won't even be able to see a passed away loved one because you're operating in fear. Beings won't even present themselves to you because you have to understand that everything in this universe is frequency, energy, and vibration. And what is fear? Fear is a low vibration, you see, and these other beings operate on a high vibration. So they're just not compatible, and it will literally put you in a box, you see. And as above, so below. The same way fear will put you in a box on the other side is the same way fear will put you in a box here on this side as well, you know.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Gosh, that is so true. You know, so many people are scared, and then in the state of the earth right now as well doesn't add any, um doesn't help any, I should say, and it's really sad because there's a lot of fear, and I was once there with fear. I feared everything. So I do understand and know how hard it is to get away from fear because we were actually taught to fear everything.
Hmm.
From the minute we were walking, talking, even a baby, we were taught to fear. And
Yeah.
our parents were taught to fear, and their parents were, it goes on and on. So now we're talking about generations of pushing down all of that into our head. It's really sad. And so having said that, how can or no, is there a way someone can work on reducing that fear? Maybe that's worked for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly. So there's a couple avenues we can take this. I'll start with one and we will go to the other one because something that you said triggered me. So when you said that the state of the world is in right now. Okay. So to tackle this fear, if you're fearing the state of the world, all right, do you like do you like where we are? Do you like how you have to go to work, how you money rules the world, how the government's lying to us and all? Do you like those things? Is that how you want it to be? You know, if not, in order for the new earth or things to come, those things have to not exist. You see? And what does this look like? This looks like collapse. This looks like failure of the government. This looks like monetary collapse, right?
Mhm.
In order
Yep.
for these systems to not be here, they have to fail and go away so new systems can come into place. So you just have to change your perspective on how you see the world, you know? And I just did a video on this about the 5D New Earth, right? Well, what is that? What does this look like? Well, from to understand this, you have to understand what 3D, 4D, and 5D truly is, right? From a 3D perspective, that person is going to be very narrow-minded. And these are not physical places. These are not physical things. When I say 3D, 4D, 5D, I'm speaking about states of being, states of consciousness, your level of awareness. So from a 3D state of being, a 3D level of awareness, you're going to be very narrow-minded. You're only going to see what you are told and the belief systems that the Matrix is presenting to you. Now, this means you're going to be listening to the news. You're going to be very caught up on work and just very focused and not able to perceive things outside of yourself from the other side, right? Now, from a 4D perspective, you're going to begin to start to see these things and begin to start opening up your mind to broader concepts. And then in a 5D reality, you're actually going to start to embody these things, you see, and start becoming a conscious creator of your reality. Now, a way that I stopped out of fear was I deprogrammed my mind, right? This is how I got from 3D to 4D to a 5D level of consciousness or state of being. You start to deprogram your mind. When thoughts come in, you do things such as thought audits. When thoughts come in, okay, analyze your thought. When you hear something, what is your first reaction? What is your first thought about it? Is it a fear-based narrative? Do you go in a state of lack? Do you go in a state of fear? If so, reprogram those thoughts. You see, to only think positive outcomes. If our thoughts create our reality, which is 100% true, your thoughts create your reality. Everything is relative to the frequency of the observer. What is our frequency, our rate of vibration? How do we raise our vibration? Through our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You see? So it starts with your thoughts. Your inner world must change before your outer world can change. So understand and start to control your mind and your thoughts. So when information comes into you, how are you perceiving this? Is it coming from a fear-based narrative, or is it coming from a state of love, understanding, a positive perspective, right? Understanding your thoughts and reprogramming your mind, right? And then from there, understand that your thoughts create your reality, and then you can actually start molding your reality around you. You see? Yeah.
Based on everything you've experienced and explored, what do you think happens when we transition from this life into the next? And what do you think people misunderstand about death?
All right. Yeah, for sure. So this is a big topic, and there's a lot of context and information that can go into this. I will do my best to formulate my thoughts here right now. So the biggest thing that we have to get over about death is that when you leave here, you stay exactly the same. All right. This is 100% true. I leave my body. I experience this. It's the same sensation as death. I am on the other side of where we go when we die. How do I know? Because I've seen my passed away loved ones. Okay. Like, this is just a fact. So the first thing that we have to understand is that our thoughts go with us when we die. When we get out of here, our thoughts go with us. You will think the same way. So what does this mean? This means that we must free ourselves from this debilitating state of fear, right? You must free yourself, right? And understand that anything can happen and that you are your ultimate authority, right? Now, another misconception of this is people often think the other side is some airy fairy thing, and it's just like the spirit world. Well, sure, from a human perspective, I mean, you can say that, but the other side is 100% physical. It is real. And especially in the other realms in this creation, you can experience a lot of physical pleasures, but with no limitations of the physical body. Each realm here has rules, templates, programming, and depending on where you are, you can experience different things without the sensation of the limitations that we have here. And it's very pleasurable, very pleasurable. So that's another thing. And it's death is an illusion. We truly never die. We don't. And as soon as you leave your body, you will understand this 100% to be true. As soon as you leave your body, you recognize your hands. You touch your hands together. You'll say, "Wow, I'm physical." You can look at your body on the bed and say, "Wow, I really do exist outside of here. Death really is an illusion. And then you will notice that your thoughts stay the same. Like, wow, this is just a continuation, And then as you're on the other side, more and more, your memories start to return back to you. And then you'll have memories of where you were before here, memories of who you were, why you came to Earth, and things like that. And oftentimes people also don't understand. This is what is so important about this work, and that we wake up and tell people the truth, because oftentimes they feel like when you die, you're not in control and that you can be reincarnated, right? Because there's tons of theories going around. Don't go in the white light, all of these things, right? Yes. Does reincarnation happen? Is it a thing? Yes. And this is exactly why it's a thing. Things like religion and people pushing this reincarnation narrative. All right. If you believe something, when you get out of here, you will experience that. Thoughts manifest instantly on the other side, and we can create dimensional spaces on the other side. When I say thoughts manifest instantly, your thoughts are literally physical. Your thoughts, if you think on something long enough now, your thought form will actually be physical. It's just this density to bring it into here. It takes, we live through time and things like that. But on the other side, your thoughts are also physical. You can touch, taste, feel them, So why I'm saying this is because when you cross over, if you hold a strong belief system in like hell, like say you're a Christian, for example, when you get out of here. Now, if you deep down believe that you haven't lived the most righteous life, if you deep down hold this deep subconscious belief about yourself, you will temporarily experience your own hell, because you will create that for yourself temporarily until you break out of it. And you can hear this in some near-death experiences that do. And then they will say, oh, eventually I broke out of it. I sought the light or something, or I sang a gospel, and then they broke out of it. It's a temporary experience. Hell does not exist in the way that it's presented in religion, but you can create that for yourself. Now, another aspect of this is if you believe in reincarnation, or you believe that you are not your ultimate authority, guess what? You can be reincarnated. That's you can 100%. Am I going to say that doesn't exist? No, but here's the ultimate truth, is that if you wake up and stand in your ultimate authority and know that nothing can force you to do something that you don't want to do, outside of here, you are a god, quite literally. I don't care who wants to disagree with me. Oh, you can't compare yourself to the divine. Well, the way humans depict God as the person that created this, that's just not it. Trust me, I've been outside of this. That's not it. The concept of God or an almighty being goes far beyond the creators of this universe. It does. But if you need to believe and understand that you are your ultimate authority, nothing can hurt, harm, touch you, or entrap your soul unless you believe it. They can. And then by default, if you believe that you can be reincarnated, if you believe that you have to do something, well, that belief will become your reality. But if you know this and understand this, that you are your ultimate authority, nothing can hurt, harm, or touch you unless you believe it to be so. You can go to the white light. You're not going to come back. You see, once you stand in your ultimate authority, nothing can hurt you and everything will open up to you. So that's the biggest misconception that people don't understand is your belief systems and thoughts and actions go with you. And that is why it is so important and critical for us to wake up inside of this game of life before you pass away. And this is why they do things like put you in a fear-based narratives and all these controlling type narratives and limiting beliefs to control you and put you on this loop. But once you step out of that and understand that you are your ultimate authority, you then become an uncontrollable soul. You see? So that's that.
Beautiful. So I just want to touch on this. Like, do you think that we're here to become something or here to remember something?
Oh, okay. So, well, we are here just to experience this, all right? Just for experience, right? Good or bad, this is just an experience, right? Now, to come back, there's levels to this as well. And depending on where people are consciously, so I'll try to do my best to explain this in ways people can understand. All of us come here for different reasons. Many of us, and many of you watching this right now, came here for this purpose, for this great awakening that is happening. So we came here to wake up inside of this game and end things, because everything here that could be experienced has been experienced by one solo or another and is saved in the form of records. So outside of here, I can experience what you experience, MJ, from your perspective, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I can feel and experience all of that. So in that aspect, there is no need to come here in this level of forgetfulness and experience these things. And also, this thing has been hijacked and we need to end this. So like, this is like the great awakening, the great remembrance.
Mhm.
This is what we're walking towards, right? The great celebration, all of these things. So many of us came here for that. So in that aspect, we do need to remember and wake up
Mhm.
and step into our divinity and remember who we are. And if this strikes a chord within you, if you resonate with the words that are coming out of my mouth, if you are getting chills when I say these things, this is your DNA activating and remembering, you see? So go down this path, wake up and remember. Now,
Mhm.
another aspect of this, did we come here to be anything? You already are everything. You
Mhm.
already are everything. You are the divine here and now. You are everything. You are just operating in forgetfulness. You just don't remember who you are. Because to come in here, that's one of the rules of this game. We have to come in and forget who we are. So you are the divine, just here in forgetfulness, walking the path back to remembrance. That's what this is.
But Andre, what about the people that don't want to remember? Like, honestly, they don't want to remember. They want to go 9 to 5 every single day. They want to go back and
Mm-hmm.
forth, and they want that work hustle. They want all the stuff. They don't care about spirituality. They have
Mm-hmm.
no cares. Do you think
Well,
those people are here to at some point remember as well? Or is there just some people that go, I'm just going to have this experience and I'm going to
mhm.
die?
Yeah, there certainly are people like that that
Mhm.
come in to just experience things like that. And what I have found is the people that are like that are the ones that have been on this reincarnation loop, and the matrix is so embedded in them that it's hard for them to break out, right?
Mhm.
And if they are, that's completely fine. But
Mhm. Yep.
the point of this is to wake up and to remember, so we can come, and I don't want to sound too preachy or anything, but to have heaven on earth, quite literally. That's where we're headed. Everything's opening up, disclosures coming, ETs are real. I've seen
Mhm.
them, other people have. They are here. The government knows about this. This is being released, right? The other side is real. There is more to this reality. And the moment that you understand that ETs are real, it's like, oh, work does not become important. You see? So as you
Yes.
wake up to these things and the truth about reality, this little reality that we have here on earth falls apart and it's not important.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, you understand that the world and reality is so much bigger, and then those things just do not matter. They don't. And trust me, this is coming from somebody that was operating in the matrix. I was on a goal to become something great inside of the matrix. I was a
Mhm.
project engineer. I managed multiple space programs. I had a portfolio of several $1 million at any given time, managing space programs for programs like NASA, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. I was on that trajectory. I was going to become a engineer and manager. Like, I was on that trajectory. I was chasing those types of things. The moment that you understand that you exist outside of here and reality is not what you told, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is your eternal self. You see, and the knowledge and wisdom gained from this life. And I'm not talking knowledge and wisdom that you can find on books and science in the form of science and mathematics here. No, I'm talking about true knowledge and experience, true wisdom. You see, how do you treat people? How do you interact? Like, those are things that stick with you and grow. Developing skills, real skills, that go with you outside of this matrix. But so that is where we are all headed. Every single one of us even knows, like, this matrix is gonna bend, and this is why the great awakening can't happen now. Why do we have to wake up? Why is this a gradual process? Because we are all creator beings. We are
Mhm.
all creating our reality at every time. So if 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 these things just opened up and somebody's stuck in this matrix mindset, it's gonna break them. It's gonna consciously break them. They won't be able to handle the information. You see? So we have to
Mhm.
slowly
Mhm.
wake them up and present things to them. This is why the movie Disclosure Day just happened. This is why the government's starting to release UFO files and things like that.
Mhm.
So your grandma watching the news who lived in the Matrix her whole life is like, oh, wow, they're saying ETs are actually real, Like we're starting to wake up here, And the moment that you find out an extraterrestrial is real, are you going to work tomorrow? Like, no, you're not.
Oh
you
my
know?
goodness. I know I'm so glad I'm out of that. Oh my gosh. You know, I can't help but think, and I think I asked you this the last time, but I'm curious to know what you think. So, dimensions. So we've got the 3D, the 4D, the 5D, and 6D, and it keeps going up, does it?
hmm
Like, I'm not sure how many dimensions there are. Um, but where is the other side? Where is
Okay.
all the souls? Where are they? Are they just like right here?
Okay. Yeah. So dimensions, when you talk about dimensions, the 3D, 4D, 5D, don't think of it like physical places. Like the fourth dimension, what is that? That is the tesseract, right? The four-dimensional cube. When you think of that, you can't even picture that in your mind because it does not exist. The fourth dimension does not exist in the term of an additional physical property. That does not exist. Some people consider the fourth dimension time. I would be more in alignment with that than the actual fourth dimension. But when people talk about 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, they're talking about levels of consciousness, states of beings, right? And those can be defined many different ways. And I don't really like the way they put those in terms of dimensions because it confuses people when they're talking about it. They're just states of being, levels of consciousness, levels of awareness, right? But outside of here, how to define the other side, all right? To understand this, you have to understand that we are inside of a creation. One creation of many. In this particular creation, this is a manifested thought form. Some beings got together. They manifested this creation for us to have a collective experience in. This thought form manifested in the form of prisms of light. This is why we operate on the light on the light spectrum. And right now, we are seeing less than 1% of the entire visible light spectrum. Everything has light in it. This microphone has light in it. This microphone has protons in it. Protons are light, right? Light is literally in everything. And when it slows down to a certain vibration, you're going to get physicality. For people really into physics, you guys can go down that rabbit hole and see how light is physical, right? But we'll just say that it is, right? Because it is. Now the other side can be defined as the other side of the light spectrum, the other 99% of the light spectrum, right? So if you stretched the entire light spectrum from New York City to LA, the part that we can see would be the size of a dime, right?
Wow.
So everything else would be considered the other side. Now, inside of this creation, there are realms, right? This gets a little bit deeper, but there are realms. And inside of these realms is where we can experience. Right now, we are inside one of these realms. And as your vibration and frequency heightens, you go into higher realms with more light, more physicality, more freedom, less limitations, less dense, you see, but also still physical. Everywhere inside of this creation is physical, right? Everywhere inside of this creation is physical, and it is all three-dimensional type things. There's length, width, and height all throughout this universe. That includes the heavenly realm. This includes the angelic realm. This includes the ancient Egyptian. This includes all of those, right? Now, inside, so the other side is real, and all of these things take up the same space. They're just separated by frequency. Time and space are an illusion. It's all frequency based. We all essentially have coordinates in these, and one of the coordinates that gives us our time and space is frequency, right? And frequency is never ending. So its numbers are never ending. You can divide a number in half indefinitely, and you can double a number indefinitely, all the way to infinity both ways. So when you're talking like that, there's infinite numbers of frequencies, infinite numbers of spaces that you can have inside of one area. So the other side is here and now. Even the other realms are here and now. Outside of my body, when I am here, and I can just be in the first earthly realm, as I command to go somewhere or raise my frequency enough to, so the other realm opens up to me, it will be right here. Like I'm not going through space to get there. It's right here. So the other side is here and now. And another aspect of this is, all right, the other side is here. okay, where do the theories of ghosts come in? Well, everything is relative to the frequency of the observer, you see. So when entity's frequency begins to lower, or vibration begins to lower to the point where it's starting to blend with our realm, and if your vibration is a little higher so you can start to see it, it will come in the form of like ghosts and things like that. Like it will be very faint, but if your vibration were to rise enough, particularly in your soul, that being would then appear physical. You see, because I've been leaving my body, I've been waving my hand, and it'd be invisible, and I'm like, oh, okay, my frequency hasn't risen enough yet for me to see this to be a physical hand. So like that's what's going on there. So the other side is here and now. I define it by the other side of the light spectrum, the other side of the veil. That's another aspect of it, because once you're outside of this physical body, the veil is gone, it's lifted,
Mhm.
and you can then begin to remember who you were, the truth about reality, all of these things. And another aspect of this is you guys have to understand, like, I'm not theorizing these things. These things are things that I know 100% to be true. Even the makeup of this universe, I'm not making this up. There is an actual map. There's plenty of maps. There's one in the halls of Amenti that shows this place. I was presented a map in my hand that lit up and glue, and inside of it you can see the realms and things. And when you're presented this, you download the information. You see, so like this is a creation. It is set up. It is a layered reality. You see, and inside of here is where we are right now. Yeah,
So, I know we could go on that forever. I know, but that was
yeah.
such a good explanation. Now, I wanted to pivot over to, because before today's conversation, I invited some of the community to submit questions that they would like me to bring to you. And I thought it would be a wonderful thing to let them be part of the conversation. So, the first question, well, I had by two viewers, wanted to know your thoughts on Loosh.
Mm, okay. Yeah, certainly. And this is a big topic because one of the prolific out of body experiencers, Robert Monroe, which I'm
Mhm,
myself am very thankful for him and his work. All right. Because he set the foundation for us. Him and his team found out and discovered a lot, right? But one of the things where I wish he would have never mentioned, because it puts people in a state of fear, is this concept of loosh, right?
mhm,
Because he didn't do his best to deliver the ultimate truth, which is you are your ultimate authority. Nothing can hurt, harm, touch you, or entrap you, right? But in
mhm,
the same aspect that I earlier in this conversation, I said reincarnation is a thing. You can be reincarnated even if you truly don't want to, just because you believe you can. The same way loosh and all, do they exist? Yes. Okay. That stuff did happen. But you guys have to understand that I don't talk about those things because it puts you in a state of fear. That's going
mm,
down that path is not going to help you. When especially if you want to leave your body and see the other side, like, oh, Lucia, I
mhm,
don't want to get trapped on the moon. That's not going to help you experience these things. All right. So I don't speak about these fear-based narratives because it's not going to help you. And especially when the ultimate truth is that you are your ultimate authority. Now, how do we know this is the ultimate truth? Because when you understand that you are your ultimate authority, nothing can hurt, harm, or touch you. So if it wasn't the truth, if you believe that, something could still hurt, harm, or touch you. But as soon as you have this understanding, nothing can. Nothing can control you. Nothing can tell you where to go. Nothing can make you experience something that you don't want to. You become an uncontrollable soul. So then in that aspect, loosh, reincarnation, none of that is important unless you want to experience it. That is the ultimate truth there. And, we all need to become uncontrollable souls. None of us needs to be in these fear-based narratives. We all need to
that's
wake up
right.
to this truth and step into our own ultimate authority. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And
Mhm.
another one would love to know, do binaural beats or binaural beats
Binaural beats. Yeah. Binaural beats.
really
Yeah.
help with OBEs, or are they simply personal preference?
Yeah, they are personal preference and
Mhm,
they do help with OBEs. So
okay.
do you need them to experience an out of body experience? No, you don't. That's where personal preference comes in. But do
Mhm.
they help? Yes, they do. Because to
Mhm.
have a full blown out of body experience consciously, to induce this consciously and not just wake up sleeping or accessing it through a dream state, because there's many ways to access this. But to do this consciously, a few things must happen. One, your physical body must be shut down to the point your heart rate that's generating the electromagnetic field around you that basically keeps your soul in needs to be lowered to the point where your soul is able to leave, right? So your physical body must be shut down and your heart rate must be low, right? And then when that happens, and then another aspect of this is your thought form, your thoughts need and brain need to be operating on a certain level, on a particularly a delta frequency level. Now, when you're operating on a delta level, when you're all right, your brainwave needs to operate on a specific level to really shut down. Shutting down your body really includes two things. Your heart needs to be lowered as well as your brain wave needs to be lowered to a certain point. And this is where binaural beats come in because your left and right hemispheres are typically operating on slightly different frequencies. And when one ear is hearing a certain frequency and the other ear is hearing a certain frequency, this forces your brain to hear the difference of this. And this creates a binaural beat. And this gets your brain waves operating on that level. So this helps enter you into the delta state. Because
Mhm.
if your brain's not shut down, you're going to be more tethered here, you see, because you're exiting this reality. You see, so things that help you here are not going to help you do this. So things like your heart and your brain kind of need to be shut down. So binaural beats does help induce that state, but it's not needed. No.
Okay. Another audience member asked, do you have to experience sleep paralysis to have an out of body experience?
No, and this is a misconception. Sleep paralysis
Mhm.
is a gateway, but it is not the gateway. And when I
Mhm.
first got into this and I was taught this by somebody, I was like, oh, so the experiences I was having wasn't a full blown out of body because I wasn't leaving the way that, somebody was telling me. No, sleep paralysis is not the only gateway. You can leave many, many different ways. Now, is sleep paralysis maybe the most direct way? You see, because then your physical body's completely shut down. And when you leave, you have the ability to be completely there, physical and 100% real. And you're able to move a lot more freer. However, I've left just by thinking about it and then transitioning to the other side. You can leave through a lucid dream. You can leave just by setting your intention and waking up throughout the night in the vibrational phase, in many different ways. But what I have found is when you leave these other ways to have a full experience the way that I speak about it, you need to work on bringing your full consciousness there. You need to work on bringing your full awareness there. So there's levels to it. And when you experience this, you'll know what I mean. Like you could be
Mhm.
outside of your body struggling to move. Well, it's because your physical body's not shut down all the way and your electromagnetic field of your heart's shut down, and there's certain commands and things you can do to break that. So sleep paralysis does help bypass some of those things because for sure you're shut down, but it's not the only gateway. So no, it's not. Yeah.
Perfect. And the last question was, have you ever explored beyond the Antarctic wall during an out
Mm-hmm.
of body experience? And if so, what did you see? If you can
Mm-hmm.
answer that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. And this is where I start to lose people because they may follow me along with everything that I've said so far, and then they
Mhm.
hear this and be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? Land beyond Antarctica? Like that's some hogwash, right?" But it's not. I will, but just understand that if you don't believe me, leave your body and see this for yourself. This is 100% true. This is 100% real, right? So beyond the Antarctica, that's where I went. That's where I've experienced 3 different lifetimes of mine in this place called Neo Soul. Neo Soul is a place that exists there. There are humans there just like us, and they are more advanced because they are outside of the resets. They put a larger emphasis on philosophy and knowing the truth, and people live in a lot more harmony there than they do here. Also, beyond the ice wall is where you will find things like giants, things like a lot of the mythical beings that we have here. I have seen those beyond the ice wall. This is why this is hidden from us. This is why the Antarctic Treaty is a thing. This is why they don't want us to go there. This is why every country in existence fights over every land here, but they all agree not to fight over Antarctica. And this is true. Operation High Jump. Admiral Richard Byrd. Admiral Richard Byrd went there. He talked about this on the news. There is more land there, you know? So wake up out of your slumber, stop believing the narratives, and there is more land there. And yeah, I actually do a video on this. So if you guys are interested, you know, you guys can go back and watch that. But yeah, it is true. Yeah, and it is a real place. I just, you know, depending
I
on
think a
where
lot
people
of
are.
people wanna know, they wanna know,
Mm,
and I think people are probably following a lot of different narratives. I'm not on social media aside from what I do for my channel, and they hear things, and they wanna know, right? So
yeah,
who
it's
better
real.
than to get the information but from you? I
Yeah,
mean, you
yeah,
do this, right?
yeah, it is real, guys. If it is real, 100%. I have been there. Not just me, my partner has been there. Um, it is real, and there is land masses behind there, and they are hiding this. This is also where the term extraterrestrial comes from. Extra
Mhm,
land, other land. There's other land masses,
mhm.
other beings there. Um, you know, it's true. It is, and I've been there many times, and that's actually where I was before here. I don't remember any past life of mine here on these six continents. The only human lifetimes I remember were there in preparation for this human experience now to be able to help me connect with you guys and do what I'm doing now. I had some practice. Yeah, yeah,
You've practiced a lot though, right?
yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
just overnight, like, people need to understand that this is a practice. This isn't just like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna leave my body." No, you have to practice it, right?
yeah. Some people can have success very quickly, but ultimately, especially the way that I do it, to have these repeatedly, it does take practice, you know. And this is what I train people for, you know, to have these experiences repeatedly, because the access to the other side should not be limited. You should not have to die to go home or
That's right.
take a break from this life. You should not, or just have one experience in the form of a near death experience. No, you can access the other side at will at any time. This is a repeatable process. This is very easy. And there's certain steps and things that you can do to access the other side at all times. You know, and that's what I'm helping people to do, is to
Mhm.
work on their out of body experience abilities to the point where they're able to leave at will. You know, multiple times a week. I just had this girl Vita. She was able to leave 3 times in one night, and then before I could even release the testimony, she had another experience. So people are leaving quite often and quite frequently and experiencing the other side. So yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you this, and this is from me. Andre, why do you think this path chose you, or why these experiences have happened to you?
Mm,
Aside from you're interested in them or a calling,
mm.
why do or maybe you don't even think they chose you.
Because this was the plan, you know, to come here and to do this. Many of us, I'm not special. Many of us did come here for this. You know, you hear stories of the original 144 and things like that. Many of us did come here for this. And when you're on the other side and your divinity and you see what's going on here, it frustrates you. And that frustration is what fuels you to come here to help. You see, when you're in your divinity and you're on the other side and you see this place in creation that's been hijacked and has all these people here in forgetfulness, struggling and suffering, you want to go and help. So, you know, from that aspect, that's all it is. And anybody walking this path, that's all it is for them, is that, yeah, you were on the other side, you seen what was going on here, and you came in to help. You
Mhm.
know, that's it. Jesus, anybody, that's all it is. So don't even idolize these people, because outside of here, it's nothing special. It just seems to put these people on a pedestal because you're here in human forgetfulness, you see. So like, but once you return back to it, you'll see it's all the same. We're all, you know, just souls just having an experience. But that is why, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing, is, and certain things in my life help me wake up. You know, my mother passing was one of them. Um, but I often, other things happen in my life too to help wake me up in here, you know. So certain things do happen and come into your life to help you on your path, and
Mhm.
certain things has happened to me to help me remember. Yeah.
Mm. On that note, do you think humanity is collectively waking up?
Yeah, I do, but then, I just started Instagram a couple months ago, and I'm
Oh.
starting to reach more and more people, and some of the comments, like, I felt like humanity, like everybody knows this stuff. But then I see some of the comments and I'm like, all right, I guess we still do need to wake people up. But yes, as a collective, we are all moving in one direction. This is just a definitive thing, and you can see it with conversations
Mm.
like these. People resonating with the truth. People are
Mm.
starting to wake up. So yes, as a whole, we are all 100% waking up to the truth. And yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, Andre, if anyone would like to connect with you, where can they find you? Can you tell us about your work, your community, and your socials?
Yeah, yeah. So I have a website. It's thealchemist369.com. There I do have a members only section where I'm helping people to leave their body, navigating the other side, and doing this on a repeatable basis, like not just a one time experience. And then I also have another section, alchemy, where I am beginning to put everything that I've learned throughout all of my experiences and wisdom into one long course that teaches people how to navigate the physical plane, the mental plane, the astral plane to the point where they become true alchemists, you see. And then there's also an option to work with me one on one. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, the Alchemist369.
Perfect. So, everyone who returned returns with a truth. What truth did you return with that you would want humanity to know right now?
You guys 100% exist outside of this physical reality. I know this physical reality can be hard, it can be tough. There's a lot of pain and suffering here, but this is caused by forgetfulness, and we all have the ability to remember now, here and now. We all have the ability to remember who we are and to end this suffering, and to go back home and return back home. So, yeah.
Mm. Andre, I want to thank you for continually returning to yourself and for sharing wisdom, answering questions, and the light you gathered along the way. Thank you for bringing your light and your truth to the returned today.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure, and congratulations on you and your work as well. I'm so happy
Oh.
and thrilled to see you continue to do this and shed light as well. So thank you.
Mm. Thank you. And to all those watching and listening, let this be a gentle reminder that fear was never a destination. Beyond fear lies the truth of who we really are, and the greatest return we will ever make is to ourselves. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep returning to the truth within you.